My sister knocked up my fiancé, and my mom gave her the family business and a house. So I made them. Guys, this is going to be a long one, but I'm burning to get this off my chest. What's been happening with my family lately is seriously twisted, but to get why it's hit me so hard, you need the backstory. I'm Olivia, 33. Grew up with my younger sister, Sophia, 30. From the outside, we looked like a normal family, but trust me, the dynamics in our house were seriously warped. Sophia was the miracle baby. Mom had a horrific pregnancy with her, and Sophia was constantly sick for her first few years, in and out of hospitals, breathing problems, infections, the whole 9 yards. I practically lived in hospital waiting rooms as a kid. I get it, having a sick kid is terrifying, but even after Sophia got better, my parents, especially Mom, treated her like she was spun from glass. Meanwhile, I was expected to be the perfect, responsible older sister who always knew better. Sophia could skip school? She needs her rest. Sophia failed a class? She's been through so much. Sophia broke Mom's favorite vase? Don't be mad at your sister, darling. But me? Perfect grades, never talk back, help around the house, basically be a mini adult from age 7. The double standards were insane. I remember once in high school, I got detention for being a minute late to class and was grounded for a week. That same month, Sophia got caught ditching school to hang out with friends at the mall, and Mom just had a talk with her about responsibility. I started working at Mom's boutique when I was 15. Not because I was passionate about fashion, but because it was the only way to get any real attention or approval from Mom. And you know what? I actually got good at it, really good. Started learning everything I could about retail, visual merchandising, even the business side of things. Stayed late to watch Mom manage inventory, read fashion magazines, devoured business blogs to learn more. Sophia? Well, Sophia was smart when she wanted to be, but zero work ethic. She could charm anyone with that poor little sick kid routine she never outgrew. Tried college for a semester, dropped out because it was too stressful. Started some online jewelry business selling cheap trinkets, which predictably tanked. Then she decided she wanted to be a social media influencer and lost a bunch of Mom's money on brand collaborations that went nowhere. But somehow, I was still the one getting lectures about supporting your sister and family comes first. It created this messed up mix of resentment and responsibility in me. I loved Sophia, because she's my sister, but I also couldn't stand being around her most of the time. We were total opposites. I was serious, hardworking, valued my word and doing things right. She was the fun one, who never faced consequences and thought rules were for other people. Mom's boutique, Eleanor's Elegance, was solid, if a little old-fashioned. Classic designs, loyal clientele, nothing cutting edge, but it paid the bills. I saw the potential though. When I wasn't on the sales floor, I was researching new trends, sustainable fashion, online retail strategies. Mom was old school, liked doing things the way she always had, but I kept pushing to modernize, attract a younger clientele, maybe even expand online. The crazy thing is, even when I brought in new customers or revamped the store layout and saw sales increase, Mom would find a way to give Sophia credit. Sophia has such a good eye for trends, she'd say, even though Sophia's contribution was usually picking out outfits for herself with the store discount. Your sister suggested we try Instagram marketing, even though I was the one who set up their entire social media presence. In 2020, I moved out as soon as I could afford it, got my own apartment downtown, about 20 minutes from my parents. Close enough to help with the boutique, far enough to have some space. I thought I was doing okay, you know? Had my own place, making decent money as a freelance interior designer, building a name for myself. I was even thinking about starting my own design firm someday, focusing on sustainable and ethical design. Then I met Ethan. 29, gorgeous, smart, ran his own tech startup focused on eco-friendly solutions. We met at a sustainable design conference. First time I saw him, he was giving this passionate presentation about using recycled materials in construction. I remember thinking, damn, he actually cares. Most guys I met in the design world were all about aesthetics and profit margins, but Ethan was different. He was genuinely passionate about making a difference. The first few weeks, we kept running into each other at industry events, started chatting online about design trends, sustainable practices. He told me about growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, how he always wanted to build something that mattered. I told him about wanting to modernize Mom's boutique, maybe expand into ethical fashion. He was easy to talk to, you know? Like I could vent about my family drama, and he actually got it. His younger brother was the golden child too, a Wall Street hotshot who could do no wrong. We joked about starting a support group for the responsible siblings. After the conference, I figured that was it, but about a week later, he emailed me about a potential collaboration on a boutique redesign project. Mom was actually considering a mini renovation to attract younger customers, and Ethan's firm specialized in sustainable retail spaces. Turns out, it wasn't just about business. He just wanted to see me again. Pretty smooth move, I gotta admit. We started dating after that. Ethan was different from other guys I'd dated. No games, no mind reading. If something bothered him, he'd just say it. If he was happy, you knew it. Plus, he actually cared about my work, my ambitions. He'd brainstorm design ideas with me, give me feedback on my proposals, even helped me build my website. Within a year, he was basically my unofficial business mentor. He pushed me to take on bigger projects, network more aggressively, believe in my own potential. I finally felt like I was building something real, you know? We moved in together after 2 years, started talking marriage, maybe kids someday. Ethan would joke about our future kids inheriting my design firm, carrying on the family business in a way Mom never expected. Man, I really thought I had it all figured out. The funny thing is, my family actually liked him, at first. Mom was always inviting us over for Sunday dinners, asking Ethan for tech advice, getting his opinion on boutique renovations. Even Dad, Mom's husband, technically my stepdad, but he'd been in the picture since I was little, warmed up to him once he saw how supportive he was of my career. We were landing bigger design contracts, building a real reputation in the city. Ethan got along great with Sophia too. She'd even defend him sometimes when Mom would complain about his unconventional career path, said Mom should try to understand his passion more. Looking back now, I should have seen that as a red flag. But you know how it is when you trust someone completely. You don't want to see the signs. We got engaged after 4 years together. Nothing flashy, I proposed at home after we finished this huge design project we'd been collaborating on. He'd been helping me plan a major eco-renovation for a local community center, stayed up late with me going over blueprints, dealing with contractors. It felt right, you know? Like we were really partners in everything. About a year ago, that's when things started shifting. Sophia's latest influencer scheme had imploded, leaving her even deeper in debt to Mom. She jokingly suggested Mom should hire her as a social media manager for the boutique. Mom, predictably, ate it up and created some BS marketing director role for her, even though Sophia's marketing experience peaked at posting selfies with discount codes. Sophia started spending more time at the boutique, helping Mom modernize the social media strategy and learning the business, she said. I was busy with client projects most days, so it made a weird kind of sense at the time. After that, things started getting really messed up. About 8 months before everything blew up, I started noticing small changes. Nothing huge at first, just little things that didn't quite add up. Sophia was spending more time at the boutique, supposedly training with Mom on inventory management and overhauling the website. Sounded legit, right? I was out on job sites most days, working my butt off to save for our future. We were planning this whole eco-friendly wedding, talking about buying a sustainable home. I wanted to do things right. But then other stuff started happening. Ethan changed his phone password. Never really snooped before, we both knew each other's passwords, no big deal, but suddenly he got weird about it. Said his new security software needed extra layers of protection, or something. Whatever. I trusted him completely, so I didn't think much of it. Then Sophia started acting different too. Started dressing nicer for work, actually showing up on time, which was a first. She was being weirdly nice to me, offering to help with my client presentations, saying she really wanted to understand my design work. I noticed Ethan talking about her differently too. Sophia's actually got a good head for business, or your sister's really stepping up at the boutique. He'd get kind of defensive if I complained about Sophia messing up inventory or alienating customers with her influencer attitude. Even started taking her side in family arguments, which was never his thing. The boutique vibe got weird too. Our senior sales associate, Maria, been with Mom for 15 years, practically family, started giving me these looks when Sophia and Ethan would be in the back office together, working late. But whenever I'd ask Maria what was up, she'd just say nothing, dear, and change the subject. One time, I came by the boutique early from a site visit because the client had changed his mind on a material and I needed to grab samples. Sophia and Ethan were in the stockroom, laughing about something. Nothing obviously wrong, but they both jumped like they'd been caught doing something when I walked in. Sophia said they were just brainstorming new marketing ideas. At 7 p.m., in the dimly lit stockroom? Right. Started noticing Ethan didn't talk about our future as much. Used to be all excited about wedding plans, looking at eco homes online, talking about what kind of sustainable family we'd build. But he got quiet about all that, said he was just stressed about work. The real red flag I ignored? He stopped coming to my design sites to check progress. Used to be our thing. He'd bring me a fair trade coffee, we'd go over blueprints, brainstorm solutions to design challenges together. But suddenly, he was too busy at the boutique with Sophia. About 6 months ago, we had this big family dinner at Mom's. Sophia and Ethan were acting weird all night, barely talking to anyone else, constantly glancing at each other, sharing these private smiles. Sophia kept checking her phone, giggling at funny memes Ethan was showing her. Ethan made this inside joke about that crazy client at the boutique, and Sophia actually snorted laughing, like it was the funniest thing ever. But when I asked what was so hilarious, they both just mumbled, "Oh, you had to be there." After dinner, in the car ride home, I finally brought it up. "You okay? You seemed off tonight." Ethan kept staring straight ahead, hands tight on the wheel. "Just tired. Work's been crazy." "Yeah, seems like you and Sophia are getting along better these days." He kind of tensed up, but tried to play it casual. "Sophia's not as bad as you always say. She's actually pretty funny when you get to know her." "Funny enough to make you ignore everyone else at dinner? What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just, you've been different lately. Distant. Always on your phone." He got defensive, real quick. "Oh, so I'm not allowed to have my own conversations now? Everything has to be about you?" That caught me off guard. Ethan never talked to me like that before. "That's not what I said. Just feels like something's changed. Maybe you're just paranoid. I'm tired of you always complaining about Sophia. She's trying her best." I remember getting this sick feeling in my gut, like something was really wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. He'd never defended Sophia like that before. "Since when are you team Sophia?" "Since I actually got to know her, instead of just listening to you bash her all the time." We drove the rest of the way in silence. Man, all the signs were there. The defensiveness, the phone, the inside jokes, the way he suddenly thought Sophia was so great. But you never want to believe someone you trust completely could do that to you. Especially not with your own sister. I remember lying there that night, watching him pretend to sleep, thinking, nah, I'm just being paranoid. Stressed about the wedding, about work. It's nothing. The next couple of months were just more of the same. Sophia working late at the boutique, Ethan suddenly invested in learning the retail business, me being a complete idiot, working 12-hour days, trying to save up for our future, while my fiancé was sleeping with my sister right under my nose. Then came the day everything exploded. It was a Tuesday, I remember, because I was on this big commercial design job, overseeing the renovation of a historic hotel. Ethan called around 2 p.m., crying so hard I could barely understand him. Said he needed to talk to me, in person. It was urgent. My first thought was something happened to his parents, or maybe he'd had an accident on his commute. Told my crew I had a family emergency and drove straight to his office downtown. Found him sitting in his car in the parking garage, wouldn't come inside, just sat there gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him together. I got in the passenger seat, waited for him to say something. I'm so sorry, Olivia. He choked out, voice thick with tears. Sophia's pregnant. For a few seconds, I felt nothing. Just blank. We'd talked about starting a family after the wedding, but now, it was happening sooner than planned. I started rambling about how we'd figure it out, how we could move the wedding up if we needed to, how excited I was to be a mom. He just kept crying, shaking his head. There's more. He choked out, voice barely a whisper. It might not be yours. Everything inside me went still. My brain refused to process it at first. Like I had to run it through a second time to make sure I'd heard him right. Might not be mine? My voice sounded weird, like it wasn't even mine. Whose else's would it be? And then, it clicked. All at once. The late nights at the boutique. The sudden secrecy with his phone. The weird tension whenever I brought up Sophia's name. No. I stared at him, waiting for him to deny it, to tell me I was wrong. He didn't. He just looked away, shame etched on his face. It's not him, is it? My breath hitched, my hands curled into fists. Ethan. My voice was sharp now, demanding. Tell me it's not Sophia. He made this broken sound in his throat, like he was being physically strangled. It wasn't supposed to happen. I let out a sharp laugh, but there was no humor in it. Oh, right. You just tripped and fell into my sister's bed. It wasn't like that, he said quickly, desperately. It was, one time. I cut him off, head pounding. One time? Tell me the truth. Nothing but silence. How long? His breath was uneven, ragged. 3 months, maybe 4. I had to press my hands to my knees to steady myself, to stop myself from reaching across the console and strangling him right there. Does she know? My voice was tight, controlled, dangerously low. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I told her, yesterday. That's when I realized I had to tell you too. I stared at him, like he expected me to be grateful she'd finally decided to come clean. I got out of the car, needed air, needed to breathe before I did something I'd regret. He followed me, stumbling out of the car, trying to explain how it wasn't planned, how guilty they both felt, how they'd ended it weeks ago. All I could think about was them laughing in the stockroom, all those times they were working late. Were you ever going to tell me? If she wasn't pregnant? He didn't answer that. Told me everything I needed to know. Got in my car, drove straight to Mom's boutique. Found Sophia in the back office, managing inventory, all smiles and fake efficiency, like usual. As soon as she saw my face, she knew. Olivia, listen, Sophia. I cut her off, voice cold, flat. I can explain. Explain what, Sophia? How you slept with my fiancé. How you betrayed me in the most disgusting way possible. It just happened. We were working late, and, spare me the details, Sophia. I don't want to hear it. I could see Mom hovering in the doorway, face pale, eyes wide with panic. Olivia, darling, what's going on? Mom, Sophia's pregnant. And Ethan's the father. Mom gasped, hand flying to her mouth. Sophia started crying, the crocodile tears already flowing. Olivia, please, it was a mistake, we didn't mean for it to happen. Mistake? You've been mistaking your way into my life since the day you were born, Sophia. I turned to Mom, voice shaking with rage. And you? You always favored her, always made excuses for her, always put her first. Well, congratulations, Mom. Your precious Sophia has finally outdone herself. She's not just content with stealing my spotlight anymore. Now she's stealing my life. I walked out, leaving them both gaping in shock. Haven't been back since. Ethan was still at our place when I got home. He'd packed some bags, was sitting on the couch, head in his hands, sobbing. I never meant to hurt you, Olivia, he whimpered. It just got complicated. I told him he had 24 hours to get his stuff and get out. Didn't care where he went. Block my number, lose my address, vanish from my life. What about the baby? He asked, voice trembling. Better hope it's Sophia's, I said, voice like ice. Because if it's mine, we're doing a DNA test and going through lawyers. And trust me, Ethan, you'll wish you'd never met me. He tried to say more, but I just walked out. Drove to my best friend Chloe's place and crashed there for a few days while he moved out. So, after everything went down, I stayed at Chloe's for about a week. Turned my phone off, just needed to process everything. Chloe's a real one. Didn't try to give advice or anything, just let me crash, let me vent, let me cry. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had like 50 missed calls. Most from Mom, some from Ethan, even a few from Sophia, the nerve of that girl. But I only listened to the ones from Mom. She was crying in most of them, begging me to come talk to Mom and Dad. Dad had suddenly reappeared after years of letting Mom handle all the emotional labor, saying they had a solution. Should have known Dad's solution would be some manipulative BS, but I went anyway. Mostly because Mom sounded so genuinely distraught. Walking into that house was surreal. Found everyone in the living room. Mom looked like she hadn't slept in days, eyes red and puffy. Dad was in his usual spot in his armchair, looking all serious, like he was about to deliver some grand pronouncement. Sophia was there too, sporting a pathetic woe is me expression. Mom cleared her throat and hit me with this gem. Olivia, darling, your father and I have been thinking about how to resolve this situation in a way that benefits everyone. I already knew this was going to be bad. Since you're clearly not willing to work things out with Ethan, Mom continued, voice tight with disapproval, and given Sophia's condition, we think it makes sense for her and Ethan to get married. I actually laughed. Like, full on barked out a laugh in her face. But she wasn't done. Furthermore, Mom plowed on, completely ignoring my reaction. Since they'll be starting a family, we think it's appropriate for Sophia to take over the boutique. Take over the boutique? I cut her off, voice rising. Are you actually insane? Sophia can barely manage her own Instagram feed, let alone a business. Mom shot me that look she always gets when someone dares to challenge her wisdom. Olivia, darling, your sister has shown real interest in learning the business. In fact, we want you to train her. Guys, I lost it. Started laughing again, but like that crazy, hysterical laugh you do when something's so messed up you can't even process it. Let me get this straight, I said, voice dripping with sarcasm. You want me to train the sister who screwed my fiancé to take over the business I helped build, while they're married and raising a kid that might be mine? Are you actually insane? Mom started crying again, the waterworks turning on full blast. Sophia just sat there, staring at the floor, playing the victim card like a pro. Dad pulled out his final, nuclear option. This boutique is still in my name, Olivia. And Eleanor's name. If you won't help your sister, maybe you should find somewhere else to contribute your design expertise. That's when I knew. All those years of work, all the late nights, all the innovative ideas, all the sacrifices, meant nothing. All that time I'd poured into that boutique, the loyal customers I'd cultivated, the online presence I'd built, meant nothing compared to precious Sophia's latest screw-up. I just got up, walked to the door. Mom tried to stop me, grabbing my arm, pleading, Olivia, please, don't be rash, but I just shook her off, said, I'm done, Mom. Good luck with your new golden team. Sophia finally spoke up, voice trembling, Olivia, wait, I turned around, and just said, call me Olivia again, and I'll make you wish you hadn't. Dad yelled after me about family and second chances. Didn't even look back. Next day, I started calling all my major design clients, the ones I had personal relationships with. Told them I was leaving Eleanor's Elegance, suggested some other talented designers they could work with. Mom called, screaming about how I was trying to sabotage the boutique, ruining Sophia's future. Told her I was just letting my clients know I wouldn't be handling their projects anymore. Not my fault if they didn't want to work with her new dream team of Sophia and Ethan. Sophia and Ethan actually went through with that whole ridiculous charade. Got married at some Vegas chapel 2 weeks later, like it was some kind of rom-com love story instead of a complete, utter betrayal. Mom and Dad even backed them up, gave them a starter fund to renovate the boutique and rebrand it for a younger demographic. Meanwhile, I was left standing in the wreckage of everything I thought I knew. No apology, no real consequences for them, just me being expected to move on while they played happy family, happily running my boutique into the ground. So I did. Walked away from all of it. Took a job with a rival design firm, Urban Edge Designs, a place that actually valued my work instead of treating me like an afterthought. Better pay, real appreciation, and best of all, zero family drama. Poured everything into starting fresh, building my own firm, Olivia's Oasis Designs, focusing on sustainable and ethical projects. Even got my LEED certification, something Mom always said I wasn't ready for. Turns out, I was more than ready. Just needed to get out from under her shadow to prove it. I didn't hear much about what was happening with Eleanor's Elegance for about 4 months. Mom would text sometimes, checking in, but I asked her not to tell me about Sophia or Ethan. Didn't need that toxic energy in my life. Then, last week, got this call from Mom at like 11 p.m. She was crying again, voice choked with panic, saying Dad needed to talk to me, urgently. Almost hung up, but she sounded genuinely messed up. Please, Olivia, she sobbed. I know you have every right to say no, but we're about to lose everything. Lose everything? That got my attention. Curiosity, morbid as it was, kept me on the line. Dad got on, and man, his voice was different. Not the usual I know everything booming tone. Guy sounded broken. Turns out, letting Sophia run the boutique was exactly the train wreck I predicted. This marketing genius managed to alienate their entire loyal customer base with her Gen Z rebranding, drove away Maria and the other experienced staff with her entitled attitude, and somehow managed to lose their prime retail location due to unforeseen lease complications. Translation: she forgot to pay the rent. And it gets better. Instead of hiring qualified staff, she brought in her influencer friends as brand ambassadors, a bunch of vapid 20-somethings with zero retail experience who spent more time taking selfies than selling clothes. The online store? A disaster. Turns out Instagram marketing doesn't magically translate to e-commerce expertise. Who knew? Then there's the money side. Sophia, apparently, forgot to pay their business insurance. Let that sink in. One lawsuit, one inventory theft, one social media scandal, and they'd lose everything. But hey, why waste money on silly things like insurance when you can splurge on designer handbags and business trips to luxury resorts, right? Because that's exactly what she'd been doing. Taking business loans against the boutique, without telling Mom or Dad, of course, and conveniently misplacing the cash. And the best part? Nobody can figure out where all that money went. Not in the boutique's accounts, not in Sophia's bank account, not invested anywhere. Just gone. Like magic. Though I'm betting her new luxury condo and that vintage designer collection she's been flaunting on Instagram might be a clue. It's almost impressive how thoroughly she managed to wreck everything in just a few months. Took Mom 30 years to build Eleanor's elegance into a respected local brand, and Sophia practically burned it to the ground in less than half a year. Guess that's what happens when you hand over a successful business to someone whose biggest achievement was racking up credit card debt on designer shoes. Mom finally found out when the eviction notice arrived and the bank started calling about the unpaid loans. She started digging into the books, and the whole house of cards collapsed. Sophia had been hiding all the problems by managing the paperwork, translation, shredding invoices and deleting emails. Maria, bless her heart, apparently tried warning Mom months ago about irregularities in the accounts, but Mom wouldn't listen, too busy patting Sophia on the head for bringing fresh energy to the boutique.
Dad's voice was shaking when he told me all this, then hit me with, "Olivia, I need you to come back.
Help me fix this. We can make you majority owner. Give you full control. Just, please, come back." Told him I needed to think about it. He started getting desperate, voice cracking. "Please, Olivia, we're going to lose everything. The boutique, the house, everything your mother built. Your mother, she's not handling this well." Then he played his final, most pathetic card. Sophia and Ethan, they split up. She left last week. Just disappeared. Left a note saying don't contact me. The baby, we don't even know where she is. Turns out Ethan wasn't exactly daddy material after all. My response? Not my boutique, not my circus, not my monkeys anymore, Dad. Dad started with his usual guilt trip about family and loyalty. I cut him off, cold. Remember when I begged you not to give the boutique to Sophia? When I told you she'd run it into the ground? What was it you said, Dad? Oh yeah. Family is family. Well, this is your family's mess now. You made your bed, Dad. Now lie in it. Mom got back on the phone, sobbing about how they might be homeless soon. That hit hard. Mom didn't deserve any of this. She was the only one who ever tried to keep the family together, the only one who didn't play favorites, even when maybe she should have. Told her she could come stay with me, anytime. Just her, though. Not Dad. Not Sophia. I can't leave your father, Olivia, she said, voice thick with tears. I sighed. Then that's your choice, Mom. But my door is only open for you. It sucked, knowing she'd never walk through it. A couple of days later, I got a text from Sophia. Sophia. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need help. The baby, it's yours, Olivia. I got the test results. Ethan took all my money and disappeared. Please, Olivia.
I don't have anywhere else to go.
I read it, stared at it, put my phone down. Didn't respond. Not going to. But damn if it didn't sit there, like a brick in my gut. Like a punch I saw coming, but still didn't know how to take. Should have meant something. Should have been life-changing. But all I felt was exhaustion. Like I'd finally crawled out of this toxic swamp, only for it to reach back and try to pull me under again. And for the first time, I wasn't sure what to do. As I was trying to wrap my head around this latest layer of messed up drama, Dad showed up at my apartment last night. No warning, just standing there when I got home from work, looking rough. Wearing this old jacket I remembered from when I was a kid, hadn't shaved in what looked like weeks. First thing I noticed was he was driving Mom's old Prius, not his luxury SUV. Found out later they had to sell his SUV to pay some of the boutique's mounting debts. Can we talk? He asked, voice quiet, defeated. Not demanding, like usual. Actually sounded tired. I let him in. Because honestly, I wanted him to see how I was doing without his help. My new place is pretty sweet. Got it after my last promotion at Urban Edge. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Earned it myself. He stood in my living room, looking lost, like he didn't know how to talk to me without giving orders. Finally sat down, slumped on my eco-friendly sofa, and just started spilling everything. The boutique is basically dead. They're facing lawsuits from suppliers, eviction from the retail space, and Mom's health. Mom's health is failing fast under the stress.
I should have listened to you, Olivia.
First time I've ever heard him admit being wrong about anything. Told him, that's nice to hear, Dad. But kind of late. Then he pulled out this worn leather folder. Inside was paperwork to sign Eleanor's elegance over to me. 100% ownership. No strings attached. You can save it, Olivia, he said, voice barely above a whisper. You always knew what you were doing. I was just too proud to see it. Know what's crazy? 6 months ago, this would have been everything I wanted. All that validation, finally being given control, Dad admitting I was right. But sitting there, looking at those papers, all I felt was hollow. Empty. What happened to Sophia? I asked, voice flat. Dad's face just crumpled, tears welling in his eyes. Said Sophia cleared out their remaining business accounts last week and disappeared. Left this rambling, self-pitying note about needing to find herself and not being appreciated. Classic Sophia. Creates a disaster, then runs away from the consequences. She's still your sister, Olivia, Dad said quietly, pleadingly. I corrected him, voice cold. She was my sister. The day she decided family loyalty meant nothing to her, that's when she stopped being my sister. Sound familiar, Dad? That hit him hard. Good. He started rambling about how he could help me rebuild the boutique, how we could work together, be a real family again. I had to laugh. Dad, I said, voice weary. You're not hearing me. I don't want the boutique. I don't want your help. I'm done. But, this is your legacy too, Olivia. Everything we built, everything you built. You gave it to Sophia, Dad. Remember? You chose her. Even after she slept with my fiancé. Now you get to live with that choice. He tried guilt-tripping me about Mom again, how heartbroken she was about the family falling apart. Told him the same thing as before. Mom's welcome here, anytime. Just, her. She won't leave me, Olivia, he said, voice desperate. Then that's her choice, Dad. And living with the consequences of your actions? That's yours. He sat there for a long time, head bowed, shoulders slumped. Finally asked, real quiet, where did I go wrong, Olivia? Wanted to lay it all out for him. All the years of favoritism, the constant excuses for Sophia, how he threw away someone who actually cared about the boutique for someone who saw it as a piggy bank to raid. But, what was the point? You didn't go wrong, Dad, I said, voice flat, devoid of emotion. You got exactly what you always wanted. Sophia being in charge. How's that working out for you? He left soon after, shoulders slumped, looking about 20 years older walking out than when he walked in. Got a text from Mom this morning. They're moving in with her sister in Ohio next month. Dad's going to try finding work there, translation, Mom's going to support him while he wallows in self-pity. She asked one more time if I'd reconsider helping them stay here, save the boutique. Told her my offer still stood. She can stay with me, anytime she wants. But I'm done setting myself on fire to keep other people warm. Sophia still messages sometimes, pathetic, rambling texts about the baby, Ethan abandoning her, needing my help. I told her to have her lawyer contact mine. Haven't heard from Ethan. Don't expect to. You know what's weird? I thought watching them lose everything would feel good, like karma finally hitting them back for what they did to me. But honestly, I just feel nothing. Not happy, not sad. Just done. I started dating someone new last month. Liam. Taking it slow. He asked about my family, and I just said, we're not close. Complicated. Maybe someday I'll tell him the whole story. But for now, I'm focused on building my own life. No drama, no toxic family BS, no trying to earn approval that never comes. I told Sophia everything goes through lawyers from now on. Will I be there for my kid? Yeah. I'm not my sister. I don't abandon my responsibilities. But Sophia burned that bridge to ashes. We'll figure out custody and support through the courts. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. Just like everyone else in this mess. For now, I'm just trying to keep my head straight, focus on my work, my new relationship, building something that's just mine. Some nights, I lie awake thinking about how messed up it is that my kid's going to be born into all this drama. But you can't fix other people's mistakes. You can only try to do right by your own conscience. Sometimes, the best revenge is just living well. Update 1. Wow, guys. Didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Thanks for all the support, the kind words, the virtual hugs. Seriously, reading your comments has actually helped me feel less alone in all this. A lot of you are asking for updates, so here's a quick one. Update 2. Okay, another update, since things have gotten interesting. First off, to answer the most common question, yes, if Sophia can prove the baby is mine, I will absolutely step up and be a father. But it will be through legal channels only. No direct contact with Sophia. My lawyer is handling everything. Secondly, remember how I said Sophia disappeared with all that missing boutique money? Well, guess who suddenly reappeared this week? Yep. Sophia. Knocking on my door, suitcases in tow, looking like she'd been living on the streets. Apparently, influencer life isn't so glamorous when you're broke, pregnant, and your sugar daddy fiancé has vanished with your business funds. She actually had the audacity to ask if she could stay with me for a while, just until she gets back on her feet. I slammed the door in her face so hard, I think the neighbors heard it. Some bridges, once burned, stay burned. And finally, the real bombshell. Got a call from mom yesterday. Sounded almost cheerful, for the first time in months. Guess what? Eleanor's Elegance is back in business. Apparently, Dad, in a last-ditch effort to salvage something, decided to remortgage their house, again, take out another loan. Seriously, how many loans can one boutique take out? And rehire Maria. Yep, Maria. The same Maria who quit in disgust after Sophia and Ethan's reign of terror. And guess who Maria insisted on having full control over the boutique's operations, finances, and staffing decisions? You guessed it. Me. Apparently, Maria, bless her practical, no-nonsense heart, told Dad straight up, if you want to save this boutique, Eleanor, you need Olivia. And you need to give her complete control. Otherwise, I'm not coming back. And Mom, desperate as she is, actually listened. Dad, surprisingly, agreed. They're offering me everything. Full ownership of Eleanor's Elegance, complete creative and managerial control, a blank check to rebuild it from the ashes. They even apologized. A real, actual, tearful apology from both of them. Admitting they were wrong, admitting they favored Sophia, admitting they screwed up royally. And you know what? Sitting here, holding these papers, looking at the offer, it doesn't feel bad. Not like 6 months ago, when it would have felt like a victory. Just a chance. A chance to rebuild something good from the wreckage. A chance to prove to myself, and maybe even to Mom and Dad, what I'm really capable of. A chance to finally put my own stamp on Eleanor's Elegance, make it Olivia's oasis. So, yeah. I'm considering it. No promises. But, considering it. We'll keep you guys updated. Thanks again for listening. Knowing I'm not alone in this mess, it actually makes a difference.